Welcome to Leading Life, the show all about living to the fullest and leading life on your terms.
You will learn tips, tools, and strategies for achieving total personal transformation.
I'm Bren.
And I'm Cam.
This is Leading Life.
Hello, and welcome to another awesome episode of Leading Life. What is this, episode 9?
This is episode 9 of Leading Life.
This time I'm right. It's episode 9.
Yeah, and like we said, we got something special for you guys today.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. So, my name is Cam, and this is Bren.
And I'm Bren.
As you know, we're brothers, and we've been doing this Implicit entertainment thing for over a month. It's a big milestone for us. And finally, we got a person to interview in on our podcast. His name is Justin Schenck. He's from the Growth Now Movement podcast. And they interview all kinds of people. I checked it out. It's really awesome. And we will, have their link in the description for you guys. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful to have you guys here listening to this podcast, and we're really excited to bring this to you today. We met Justin, I think, somehow by chance. I think just from launching the company and networking and stuff like that. And so I think I might have just added Justin on Facebook, and out of nowhere, he checked out our stuff and he appreciated it, and we had a chance to check out his stuff. And when we first met him, I mean, I think instantly we were right away was like, this is going to be a good episode. This guy's got some stuff to share. So we're really excited to bring Justin on. Justin, how are you feeling, man?
Dude, I am feeling great. Thank you guys so much for having me. The intro there was awesome and puts the pressure on for sure, but I appreciate it.
Good. The pressure better be on, because we're kind of doing this on the fly a little bit, it feels like, but
absolutely. No,
everything is good. This is going to be a good episode. We've got this topic. Justin wanted to share this, the fear of success. What do you think of, how does that sound to you, Cam?
Oh, that's I've heard that from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins talks about like how subconsciously you might have this fear of money. He didn't really say success, I don't think, but he talked about how like a lot of people do this thing called self-sabotaging themselves, right, when it comes to their finances, like spending it on the wrong things or hating money or doing stuff like that, subconsciously not even knowing that is what's making them struggle financially. So yeah, I've heard a lot about the fear of success, and I'm really excited to hear more. You told us, Justin, earlier before we started streaming that our minds would be blown. So I'm pretty excited.
Whoa, you shouldn't have put that there. Now the pressure's really on.
Now the pressure's really on.
But you're right. I mean, Tony Robbins does talk about the fear of success, and a lot of other people do too. And I think I mentioned to you guys earlier, when I was younger and I first started hearing the term, the fear of success, probably when I was about your guys' age, I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, that does not make sense to me whatsoever. Who would be afraid of success? Because everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to make a lot of money. Everybody wants to impact people's lives, whatever it may be. Why would you be afraid? And it didn't make sense, and it never sunk in. And I worked for a company called Vector Marketing, or sold Cutco knives, and that's kind of where I really started to get into the personal and professional growth type of atmosphere. And it was actually at an event in Beverly Hills, California, where I think I heard it for the first time. And they said it on stage, and I was like, this is dumb. And I stopped listening to the guy. And it wasn't until, I'd say, within the last year of my life that I really kind of experienced that, hey, my whole life I've been afraid of success. I've been afraid of becoming something better than I was. And, that's obviously, like you said, that's what we're going to dive into today. And I'm really excited to share some stuff and kind of how it relates to me and how it can relate to kind of everybody listening.
Awesome. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we had one call, but, you kind of just said it briefly because you knew we were going to dive a little bit deeper. So who are you,
Sure. My name is, like you said, my name is Justin Schenck. I grew up in New Jersey, middle-class kid. When I was 12, parents got a divorce, and that kind of led to multiple different things. And to kind of, I won't go into too much detail about that stuff because it's not really what we're talking about today. But, when I was 12, my parents got a divorce, and we went from living in a $500,000 home, and overnight my mom moved into a 2-bedroom apartment, and my dad moved into a trailer. So it's me, my 2 older sisters, and then, obviously living in these smaller little kind of environments, and just experiencing that and growing up in that environment, I realized I don't want that. I want something better for my life, and I want to make better choices for myself. And then parents made some bad choices beyond that led to a couple growth moments in my life. My dad spent some time in prison. And that kind of forced me to have to change schools when I was a sophomore in high school, and I moved about an hour and a half away and kind of had to uproot my life. And my mom had an addiction to pain pills, so opiates, Oxycontin and stuff like that. And unfortunately, back in November, that addiction, after 20 years, took my mom's life. And that was an altering moment in my life. And I miss her every single day. She was a very loving mother. She just had her issues, and I think through that process is when I realized that I'm not afraid of anything else anymore. There's nothing else in this life that can happen to me or affect me in my life that is worse than that. So there's nothing to be afraid of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that does make sense. Once you hit that threshold of fear and pain, and I couldn't even imagine. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, man. It was one of those moments that it rocked my life. You know what I mean? And to kind of tell you the business side and why the podcast is what it is, on a higher note, back in 2009, me and my business partner, Zach Bouguet, started a company called Jutbug. And what we did was we put together seminars and expos that focus on personal and professional growth. So we'd bring in speakers and we'd facilitate the event and sell tickets to the event. And we did that for a number of years. And then we decided to literally take every dollar that we made in this company and put it all into a business expo. We paid a speaker a ton of money to come and speak. His name was Bill Rancic. He was the first season winner of The Apprentice. We paid him a ton of money to come speak, and we spent a ton of money on advertising, and we ended up selling 3 tickets to the event. So literally every resource that we had, every dollar, every cent that we ever made, we dumped into this thing, and we went broke overnight and kind of shut the doors for a little bit. And for the last couple of years, people kept seeing us out, and they're saying, "Hey, you guys still doing that Jutbug thing?" And we realized that we really struck a chord. And I think we struck a chord because we had a passion for helping people. And so people picked up on that. And so they continued to ask us about it. And so we decided to relaunch the Jutbug as a podcast called the Growth Now Movement. So essentially what we do is we interview inspiring people with amazing stories of growth, whether it be personal or professional. We've interviewed the CEO of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Brian Scudamore, who was a high school dropout and now owns a multi-million-dollar business. And we've interviewed the former CEO of Livestrong and a number of other amazing people. And it's really kind of given us that opportunity to connect with these awesome people. And part of that growth and the reason we're doing it and we're doing it so well is because I took that moment back in November with my mom and I allowed that to empower me to do something better, if that makes sense.
No, I love that. I actually had a similar experience, where something seemingly terrible happens and you kind of just decide, I'm gonna let this affect my life in a good way. I'm gonna change my life for the better, because if I just complain about it or if I just feel sad about it, that just brings me down. You want to kind of overcome that. In January, I got in a car accident that scared the hell out of me. I didn't get injured at all. Thank God I didn't get injured at all. But yeah. I easily could have, broken my leg, and I love skating, or I could have done something. And that right there, it was kind of like a little nudge. I'm right on the edge, and it was just a little nudge just to scare me. So I pull back and I say, all right, now I really need to work on things. I sold my Xbox. I bought a computer. I got rid of my bed. I put a desk in my bedroom. And for the past 4 months even, I've been sleeping under my desk. I've just been sleeping, working out, and doing my work all in one room, just going at it and doing what I can with what I have, and I totally understand what you went through and stuff like that, and I can really relate for sure. That's
awesome. That's incredible, man. And I just want to say this before we get into the actual topic of what we wanted to talk about. But you guys are inspiring. You guys are younger. I don't know if you say your ages, but you're younger. And what the knowledge that you guys have and the drive and the determination you guys have, I wish I had it at your age. I don't know where I'd be now. You know what I mean? It hit me a little bit later. But just you guys are incredible, and that's why I wanted to sit down and have this conversation with you guys, because what you guys are doing, especially at your age, is amazing. So thank you guys for being you.
Well,
thank you,
Justin. Oh, you're gonna make us blush on the podcast.
Jeez,
come on. No, seriously, that's really awesome. I really appreciate to hear that from you. But yeah, like you're saying, we should get into this topic because honestly, I'm super intrigued.
I am.
I'm
no,
super
I really am.
So,
Yeah.
okay, what is this fear of success? Like, what is this, and how does this kind of come about?
Sure. So a fear of success, there's a number of reasons why somebody would have a fear of success. One, it could be as simple as, let's take it back to school. So you're in school, and I was not a very good student. I'm very open about that. I was probably a C student up until about junior year, and I was even a worse student at that point. And in those moments, I could have sat down and I could have studied, and I could have worked harder, and I could have had more. But my group of friends were my group of friends, and I was terrified at the idea that if I did well in school, my friends would leave me. They would stop hanging out with me, and they wouldn't want to be my friend anymore. So that's an early example of what a fear of success could be, right? So I didn't realize this until a later date, but if somebody's listening and they're still in school, whether it be college or high school, this is a real thing. You know, that true fear of losing the people that you have currently in your life, you know? It could be a simple fear of becoming somebody else. You could wake up every morning and be like, I'm okay with me. I'm okay with where I am in my life. I have a roof over my head. I have a car in my driveway. What else can I be? There's a real fear of the unknown. And I feel like people are accepting of failure. You know, they say to themselves, hey, if I give this a try and I fail, that's okay because so many other people have failed. But there's such a small population in the world that has succeeded, that has done extremely well. You know, they talk about that 1%. We should be afraid of the 1%. They're the bad people, but really they're the people that weren't afraid of success. You know what I mean? So the fear of success has kind of lived within me my whole entire life. It started at a young age with school and a fear of losing my friends if I became better than them in my schooling, and then it moved on to when I got into sales. And the craziest thing that I noticed again, hindsight's 2020. The crazy thing that I noticed as I was in a sales company, I worked for, again, Cutco Cutlery, Vector Marketing, and, you know, I competed on a regional and national scale, and I would go to these events, and I'd always be on stage, right? So when they were giving out the awards and they're saying, you know, who sold this amount, and, you know, as they got higher numbers, people would sit down, and I always tended to be in the top 10, but I was never, ever, ever number one, ever. I was never the best. And I don't think it had anything to do with that I wasn't able to be the best. I think that I was terrified of the fact that my bosses and my peers would then go, well, Justin, then what are you going to do? I knew if I was number 2 to number 10, I was always chasing number 1. So I knew what I was chasing at that point. But if I got to number 1, what am I chasing?
So that's kind of like the fear of unknown again, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to get number 1 because you're not exactly sure like where you're going to go after that, right?
Absolutely. And then beyond that, where I am now in life, I'm doing this podcast, and I've changed my mindset, and I've changed my focus. And there was a dark time in my life where I was very negative, and I feel like I held on to that negativity for longer than I should have, because my friends knew me as the guy who joke around and maybe have a little. I don't know if I can curse on here, but like a smart ass comment. I was that guy for years. And now I've become a much nicer, calmer person when I got rid of the fear of success, because I became grateful of the things around me. But the reason I was afraid to let go of that snarky, sarcastic Justin again was I didn't want to lose or leave behind my friends that would sit at the bar with me and have a beer and joke around all night long. I didn't want to lose that. I was afraid of losing them because I didn't know, again, that fear of I didn't know what was next. If I was going to succeed and I was going to do this podcast and I was going to reach, thousands, millions, however many people I can reach, what would happen with my friends currently? Right?
Wow. Yeah. I totally get that for sure. And
so, I mean, to kind of relate it to you guys, I imagine you're there. I mean, you guys are young. There's not many people your age doing what you're doing, let alone your core group of friends. Was there a fear of success for you guys going into this whole venture?
Well, for me, I have a tiny fear of like moving away, because I do have a lot of friends here. I grew up with these people, right? So like moving cities, which we plan on doing, is a scary thing for me. And it's more or less, it's almost barely, it is the fear of success, but it's a fear of like a bunch of things that pile together when it comes to success.
Sure.
It always depends, but yeah, like I've definitely had that fear because yeah, you don't want to lose that, you don't, because it's something that's, dear to you, your buddies at the bar, as non-productive as it is.
Yeah.
You have laughs, and yeah, I could imagine that for sure. What about you?
Yeah, man, and I think the point to all of this is it really does go back to this underlying fear of being better than who you are now, right? So that fear of success, because you're unsure of what else comes with that. You see these elitists, you see the Gary Vaynerchuks and the Lewis Howes and the Mark Cubans of the world, these guys who are some of the top people in their field, and you put them up on this pedestal, and you go, wow, I don't know if I can be that. I don't know if I can handle what they handle. I don't know if I can handle the hours Gary Vaynerchuk puts in. I don't know if I can handle all the political questions Mark Cuban handles. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can handle the constant questions of how do I improve myself that Lewis Howes gets. It's truly this underlying fear of being that person that is put on that pedestal, because there's a lot of pressure with that,
Yeah, and I'm sure like you've experienced that as well, Bren. Fear of success.
I'm just
no,
like,
not the what we just talked about.
For...
Just before, yeah, like the fear of success.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%, and it's such a weird fear too, eh? Because it's not something that is very conscious. You don't consciously think about it at all until until you're challenged with it at some point. And I think with any big change in your life, there's always that fear of like, okay, I know this change is going to be better for me. I know if I do this, all these good things. And this happens to me all the time, where I'm trying to convince myself, this is a big change. This is something I really want to do. This will bring me much success and happiness. But there's all these other things that could potentially come with it, like the work hours and, all the different things. And so that fear of success, I know it hits us all at some point, but it's such a weird fear to even think about.
Absolutely. A lot of it could be like fear of unknown also, right? A lot of it could be you're afraid of what's next. Because I remember we were talking to Anthony Cheam about it, and he just said you really got to just keep pushing forward, and keep going in the direction of what you truly want. And actually, like, ask yourself, what do I really, really want for myself? Because like for you, you wanted to be with your friends, you wanted to stay with them, but you decided what you wanted for yourself, right? And that's another thing to realize, is that at the end of the day, it's your life, and you really got to do what you need to do to make your life the way you want it to be, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, give her.
Give her.
But no, dude, that's, I mean, what Cam just said is so spot on, I came up with a couple questions you can ask yourself to figure out, what's holding you back, from being successful, and why do you have this great fear of success? And I think that, once you put the issue out there, and once you realize that I'm holding myself back because I'm afraid of the unknown, I'm afraid of becoming one of the elite, I'm afraid of becoming one of the 1%ers. Once you realize that, but you still know that you want to be great, that's still inside of you, you still have that burning desire to do whatever it is. We actually sat down recently, his name's Victor Antonio, for our podcast. He hosts a television show on Spike TV called Life or Debt. And he goes, when you have that feeling inside of you 24/7, and I'm not talking about that feeling when you have a couple beers and you think it's such a great idea to go start a podcast. I'm talking about you can't sleep, you miss meals because all you're doing is thinking about that. That's your calling. And that's truly the thing that you can use as your vehicle to become successful, right? So that's the first thing you want to diagnose. You want to go, I want to be successful. How do I get there? Well, it's usually that burning desire. It's like you guys have this burning desire to do implicit entertainment and everything else that goes along with it. So you realize now that's what you're grinding towards, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So the first question you want to ask yourself is, why am I stopping myself from being successful? Or what are the things around me that are stopping me from being successful? So it's always a good first question. So what is it that's stopping me? And a couple of things could be past relationships, right? So a couple of past, whether it be a love relationship or a friendship, whatever damage that has caused you, that could be stopping you. All right. So I've had past relationships in my life that have caused, to be completely vulnerable in this moment, have caused trust issues with others. So that stopped me from fully embracing others. Hence the sarcastic Justin, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Or-
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go. Please.
Oh, well, I remember we were talking about the Tony Robbins documentary just before we started streaming, and there was a girl there who started talking about her diet, and she was like, yeah, I got some diet problems, and, I'm not eating the way I should be, and blah, blah, blah. And then Tony Robbins just dissected her and went all the way back to her father. Yeah, he just dissected her brain, instantly, and was like, all right, so tell me about your father. And then, all you know is that she's sitting there right beside her mom, and they have this conversation about their father, and that was the real problem, right? So it's almost like you think it's one thing, but really it goes deeper. You got to think of the bigger picture. And that was something that I was thinking about earlier, is that, if you are having this fear of success, just think of the bigger picture. I remember every time I watch a documentary or something that talks about how the world is going to end, I, for some reason, feel really good, because it makes me think of the bigger picture in my life. It makes me forget about all my little problems. I stubbed my toe, or I spilled coffee on my shirt. Dude, the world might end. You need to think of the bigger picture. I know that might be a pessimistic thing for some people, but Gary Vaynerchuk, as an example, every single morning of his life, he thinks about his whole family dying. And that's why he's grateful. So, you got to think of something that just pushes you. And for me, it's the end of the world. For Brennan, I don't know.
Well, and knowing what's holding you back too, knowing what's stopping you.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I mean. Look deep, because you
could think it's something on the surface, but it could go way deeper. So it's important to just take a minute, meditate if meditation's your thing, or go for a skateboard ride, or go golf. I don't know what you do. Whatever centers you, right, and helps you figure out that question of what's stopping you, and that'll help you figure out, this fear of success thing.
Well, I know that another big thing that you can do is actually just look at your childhood. That's one of the biggest things that'll reveal who you are as a person. That's what I discovered in the Tony Robbins documentary. They always bring it back to who you were as a kid and how you were raised. And it's one of the most important things to know, what kind of person are you because of the way you were raised. I know this is kind of off topic from fear of success, but it totally blew my mind when I watched that Tony Robbins documentary.
Yeah, but it's certainly not off topic. And then actually, this is a quote from Tony Robbins. He says, let go of the boy that you were and to become the man that you need to be. So, but that's really all about what's stopping you from being successful. So it's right on point. And a big one that you should ask yourself is, what are other people's ideas of you? So, for instance, again, I was that jokester, sarcastic, mean joke guy, Justin, and that's what people thought about me. So that's what was holding me back, right? So I was allowing that to make me be the person that they thought I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know Brennan actually struggled with this too. So
no, it's true. And actually a greater example, and not to just talk about myself. So for instance, there's a mother and a daughter in a store, and the mother runs into one of her friends, and they're all chatty, and they go, oh, this is my daughter, Emily. And Emily grabs onto her mom's leg and hides behind her mom. And her mom goes, oh, Emily, she's just shy. So now Emily is shy Emily. And that's what she carries with her whole entire life. So, again, what other people put on you, you carry that with you, and you have to let that go.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember Tony Robbins was talking about how, one of the biggest motivating forces in the human psyche is wanting to stay consistent with how you define yourself. And when other people define you, you subconsciously define yourself with that sometimes. You know how you accept other people's judgments and opinions? That you become that, Yeah. So that's exactly what you mean, right? Shy Sally or whatever is shy because she identifies herself as a shy person, and that's I just
We all know Shy Sally.
Yeah, we all know Shy. Everybody's got a Shy Sally in their life. So we got those two questions. We're gonna recap probably at the end of the episode. So where do you go from there?
So the next one is, what is success to you, or what is success to me? What does it look like? So visualize that picture in your head. So success to me currently, and it's always changing, it's an always evolving thing, but success to me currently is getting 1 million downloads a month on the podcast, right? And really impacting as many people as I possibly can. So that's success to me right now. And then you go, how do I get there? And obviously, how do I get to 1 million listeners or 1 million downloads a month? There's small wins and small successes along the way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you will like have adversities and stuff. Sorry, it's kind of hard over the Skype because there's a little delay there. But no, for sure.
And I can't see you guys, so I don't know when you're going to talk.
Yeah,
either,
so yeah, that's another thing because success is different for everyone, and a lot of people have this picture of success that it's like this big 14-room mansion.
Oh yeah,
all these cars and the Lamborghini in your garage with the big library and stuff.
I think a lot of people don't even have their own definition for success.
Oh well,
they just think success and they think what I see on TV or what I see on social media, or you know what I mean. They haven't yet taken the time to say, okay, wait a minute, what is success? Mm-hmm. Like what comes along with success? Is it? It's not just money, cars, all this stuff. Is it fulfillment? Is it family? Is it leisure? Is it travel? Like what is success for you? And knowing what that is, like 100%. Because if you don't know that, like, it's just the unknown, and you'll just be afraid of it.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, that's very important.
Well, Bren, let me ask you this. I mean, you seem like a very mindful guy, and it's funny. Like I said earlier, like it's weird being on this end and not asking questions. So, Bren, I'm going to ask you a question. How do you think people find their why? Like, how do people find their success?
Ooh. How do people find their why? I think it takes some pain. Like I think, and sometimes it could even be just self-induced pain, like asking yourself the tough questions. But I don't know, like
I think
it's really just soul searching and really asking yourself constant questions and not being afraid to feel the pain of what you don't want to hear, or saying the things that you believe that you don't want to believe but you subconsciously believe them, and just letting that out. And sometimes having a conversation with somebody's really good, having somebody there to bounce ideas off of. Like it's always good to have Cameron around if we ever want to talk. Like we just talk with each other, right? And we're always in this business together, so having somebody like that, it could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be a coach, it could be an interviewee, someone you interview on your podcast, right?
No, yeah. What helps me with the why, well, how I find out is like two things. One was obviously pain, like not getting what you want as a kid, or struggling as growing up will make you strive for more. It's psychological.
Rejection.
If you give, rejection breeds obsession. Right? So when you're a kid and you don't get what you want and you're not spoiled and you have to work for what you get, that builds this person who is disciplined. It builds this person who wants to be their best because that's just how they were raised. And that's basically for me. It was like I didn't always get what I want. I always never had money. I was always mooching off people and I felt really bad about it. And now it's turned me into this person who just wants to give because I've taken so much from all my friends, from all the people growing up and stuff. And so that's the pain area. And the second one was like, I feel that feeling inside me. I think it's burning desire. I don't know what it is, but like it's something inside of me that when I do something and I do it right, I just feel on top of the world. Like when I did my 2 vegan speeches at the school, when I did what else did I do there? When I streamed
at the end of this
live stream, at the end of this podcast, I feel like I've really just
we're always super
added
pumped.
So much value. It's almost like you're creating, I don't know, when I'm making a movie, when I'm editing it and I'm seeing it put together, it just gives me that feeling inside like I'm just on purpose in my life and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to.
So I think the answer is
it's almost
equal parts pain to pleasure. Like just really understanding like there's a lot of pain involved and there's a lot of pleasure involved, and if you do the right things, you could balance the two and have a great life.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. No, and I agree. And you guys are you guys are both spot on with that. And it's funny because you hear that saying of all the time, find your passion and find what you really love doing, and then find a way to make money doing it, and you'll be happy for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So and making money doesn't mean $1 million a year. It doesn't mean whatever. You know what I mean? It just means that you can live off of your passion, right? So everybody has a different level of comfort. Like a guy we interviewed last night, he goes, if I could do what I'm doing right now and just make only $70,000 a year doing it, because that's essentially what I make, like that's what I spend. He goes, I'm the happiest guy in the world. He's like, I don't need the lavish mansions and the $10,000 or 10,000 square foot home and all that stuff. But it's really about finding that inner desire, that thing you think about all the time. Like, for instance, like let's talk about something hot right now, Pokemon Go.
Oh,
right? So everybody's playing Pokemon Go. It's annoying to me because that's all people talk about now. But if that's somebody's like true passion, if they're in, right? Find a way to make money doing it. I guarantee you they're going to be happy. they're probably going to be the happiest person in the world. They're going to catch all their Pokemon and they're going to make a living doing it. So it's something as stupid as that or as cheesy as that, that's all you need. Find out that inner drive and go after it. And one way to find that, and something that I've picked up on, whatever people tell you you're good at, that's probably what you like doing. So like I always did well in sales, but I hate sales. I hate being that salesperson, but I always did well. But nobody ever said to me, hey man, you're a good salesperson. They've always said, hey dude, you're a good leader.
Yeah, okay.
So clearly my passion or my desire of what I wanted to do was be a leader, because I was throwing that out there before I even knew that's what I wanted to be.
Wow, yeah. I totally, like, it's almost like you were kind of being a leader through sales, kind of like that. Yeah, that's how I felt about like just being a musician, being in a band, was like I was getting this sort of feeling that I was, living on my own. I wasn't working for anybody else. That's how I felt. And I was still pleasing people. I was still entertaining people. And that hasn't changed. Just because I'm not touring in a band right now doesn't mean I'm not entertaining people and I'm not pleasing people and I'm not meeting people all the time. I'm still doing that. And yeah, I totally get it. It's almost like you have to kind of look at like what genre of thing you're doing, Like sales is like kind of like a leadership kind of thing, musician is an entertaining, people-pleasing type of thing, so.
I always just think of it in terms of doing what you love and in such a way that it helps other people in some way. Like, not everybody's into money. Not everybody really cares about money. So if you could just, instead of, like I know a lot of people actually hate money. I think the majority of people hate money, because I think if the majority of people loved money, they might have a lot more of it. But the majority of people hate money, so they don't want to do anything to make money because they think if they had money they'd be bad, or some sort of fear of this or fear of that. But just think in terms of like, how could I do what I love in such a way that it adds value, so much value to other people, that they're willing to add value back to me and support my life or make a living, right?
Yeah, just a living, like that'd be amazing, Like right now I'm making a living doing what I do. I'm alive.
I love it.
And I do it every day. That's all that matters to me. I totally agree with your buddy there who said he doesn't care about the cars and stuff, because the second I moved out of my parents' house, I just felt alive. I was like, I'm alive. And I'm doing what I love every single day. That's all that matters. If I have impacted more people, if I have pleased more people, met more people, expanded and went to bed wiser than I did when I woke up that morning, then I'm the happiest guy in the world. That's all that matters, is that like I get better every day.
Progress, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And Bren, you said earlier, you talked about the people are afraid of money, right? They're afraid, they think money's bad. But the real reason is they're not afraid of money and they're not afraid of being rich. They're afraid of what they would do to themselves and to others with that money, right? So it ties back to the fear of success. And I think that's how relevant this whole topic is because you talk about the fear of success without even realizing you're talking about it. Those people are afraid of what they would do with themselves and with the money and with the rewards of their labor, and so therefore they're afraid of success. They're not afraid of money, because if you're a good person, you're going to do good with money.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
no,
that's where I was going
makes
with that.
a lot more sense.
He probably wouldn't really slap you. That was a little rough, but
he would. You've seen the documentary. He's pretty wild.
He'll grab you by the hair and
he'll do whatever it takes to make a breakthrough. Slap you in the face, whatever he's got.
But that takes us to kind of the last question you should ask yourself. And that is, what will happen to me when I'm successful? It's actually the perfect lead-in.
Okay.
So, what will happen to me when I am successful? A, what kind of person will I be? Where will I be? And then what do I do? And then they're all kind of deep sub-questions as well. I truly believe that if you're a good person now, you'll be a better person when you have a lot of money, because you can do good with that money.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I truly believe if you have a drive and determination to do great things, when you get to where you want to be, you're going to continue to have that drive. You're going to continue to have another passion. So that success that fear of success that we're talking about, and we talk about how it's subconscious, it's kind of ridiculous to think to yourself, I'm so afraid of this success, right? Because who you are now, you're just going to be that in abundance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know Ty Lopez was talking. I know I referenced Ty Lopez so much because I am listening to his program every single day. But he said he always talks about other people. He's never coming from him almost, but it's always from other people. And he mentioned that someone said, like, you got to love the grind, right? And the grind is basically like the work you have to put in. And basically, it just means that, like, your outcome isn't to have this money. Your outcome is the grind. The grind is your outcome because that is your life.
The process,
if you don't
the
love
passion.
the grind, then you don't love your life because that's what your life is. You know, and that's what should drive you. The 4-hour work week shouldn't drive you because you don't want to work for 4 hours and then do nothing productive for the rest of your week. Wouldn't you want to just create something or do something that you love to do every single day and just make a living off of that? You know,
Well,
so that's another huge thing.
The ironic part to the 4-hour work week is Tim Ferriss wrote the 4-hour work week, and it made him so successful that he'll never work 4 hours in a week ever again. He'll always work nonstop.
Yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah, exactly. So just remember that, like, what you're doing should be something that you'd want to do 80 hours a week, you know? And
Yeah.
obviously everybody needs a break, but all I'm saying is that the grind is your life. And that's what I realized, and it blew my mind when I heard it. Like, obviously I knew it subconsciously, or I knew it consciously, but subconsciously I didn't really think about it too much, and I wasn't really a big fan of working and doing that kind of stuff. And it's just very, very important to make sure that what you're doing to be successful is something you really want to do. And I drill that into this podcast all the time, is make sure you do what you love. And that's what, like, I watched this 50 entrepreneurs give you advice video. It was a compilation, and they talked about, like, all of them said the same thing almost. Said, you gotta do what you love. Don't do what you love just for the, like, everybody goes through phases, right? Do what you really, really, really want to do, and you'll be successful. Like that Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all those people say the same thing.
Yeah.
As do what you love.
Yeah. No, and again, you know, you guys are awesome. Like, I think that, you know, the input that you're giving to me, I'm going to take and use it going forward. But you know, again, the fear of success, I think, is like Bren said, you know, it's subconsciously in all of us. And I overcame mine because of a traumatic experience. But then I realized that you can truly get over it without a traumatic experience. And it's just those 3 simple questions. So you're going to ask yourself, why am I stopping myself from being successful? What are the things in my way that are stopping me from being successful? Mm-hmm. Then you're going to say to yourself, what is success to me? Like, what do I want and why do I want it? And then what will happen once I'm there? And I think that last question's the key. So what will I become, or what will happen, or what will my life look like when I'm successful? And you realize that the picture you're painting for yourself is beautiful and there's nothing to be afraid of.
I love it.
I really like that. No, thanks so much for hopping on the show and sharing all that with us. It's always a pleasure getting on and talking with you. Some laughs, some very great insights. I think there's so much value here. I'm always happy for the people listening to the show, because, like, if I were not me and I were listening to the show, I'd be pumped. So
I'd be right into
pumped
it.
to have Justin here. Definitely go check out what he's doing with the Growth Now Movement podcast. That's really cool, and he's got all sorts of crazy guests on his show as well. So exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
Exciting stuff.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up.
I appreciate
or...
it.
Let's wrap it up. Justin, do you have any last words on success or on anything?
Put me on the spot.
Yep.
Last words on success. I think the main thing in everybody's life is to remain true to who you are. And if you wake up every morning and you remain true to who you are, everything will work out.
Absolutely. I love it.
Just stay true.
And break through.
No, at the end of the day, I love that. I really do.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
That's it, Cam. What are your last words?
That was a lovely live stream, guys, and this is the first guest we've had on Leading Life, and he's inspired us
the first
to start
of many.
getting other guests. So go check out his podcast because it's actually really, really awesome. And yeah, go out there and
Lead
conquer
your
the
lives.
fear of excess.
Conquer your
fear of success. All right, thanks, Justin.
Peace.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.